Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth,
And I'm Coach Victoria.
and in this video we're going to be talking to you about feeling lost after a breakup.
Very common feeling.
Yeah, a breakup can feel like a level of pain and shock and confusion that you may have never experienced in your life. And it can be so overwhelming that you're just totally confused, totally lost, and it's so hard to think straight. You're just kind of like in a fog all the time. You feel kind of dissociated, from reality. Time feels slow, and you're really beating yourself up. A lot of people are very depressed, and they're constantly thinking about what they did wrong and what caused them to lose that person.
And one of the first things that we talk about when we talk about that fear and anxiety that comes up in us when we lose a partner is primal panic. So this is kind of an evolutionary biology idea where back when we were in our hunter-gatherer communities, we would really rely on that social connection. We would really rely on other people being around us to help protect us from threats in our environment, saber-toothed tigers, as Margaret used to say.
That's right.
And so nowadays, when we're disconnected or when our connections are severed from someone, we feel that panic, that level of, are we going to die? Are we going to be unsafe out here? We're left to fend for ourselves.
Yep.
And so this can be something that's really overwhelming and we can feel in a very visceral way. Many of you might be having a lot of physical symptoms of that kind of primal panic and anxiety. Maybe you're experiencing palpitations, diarrhea, Craig's staple symptom.
Top of the charts. I remember when I was first researching breakups, there wasn't information out there about this. And so when I started, I don't remember how I first came across a video or article talking about primal panic and started to realize, well, this is what we're going through in our breakup. Everything became a lot more clear as to why it hurts so bad. Because your body is basically warning you, get close to the person that you feel safe with, your partner, because you're going to die alone. So it makes you feel that pain of death because your body is trying to get you to survive. Obviously, the world is very different from thousands of years ago, and we have a lot more, ways to keep us safe than we did when we were living in caves or in the fields or whatever. But biologically, that's why we feel like we're dying, because there's an alarm system constantly going off. And it's just like a toddler that toddles away from their parent. They go off for a little bit, but then they have to go back. They got to go back. And they feel this overwhelming urge to go back to their parent and be close to the loved one. It's similar. It's a very similar system inside of us that wants us to be close to the people that we love.
Right. And another system that we have is to recognize patterns. So if I say 1, 2, your brain probably says 3, hopefully. If I say A, B, your brain probably says C, right? So we're used to patterns, and these patterns can be really deeply integrated.
That was Coach Nat just landed on you.
You noticed that too?
Yes. We haven't seen Coach Fly in a while. That was Coach Nat.
I did right here.
I thought it was on your forehead.
He's got a lot of real estate to work with, so there's that.
So for those of you that have been looking for Coach Fly, and I still get comments about Coach Fly. Where's Coach Fly? I haven't seen him in a while. We'll meet Coach Nat, part of the team.
I really tried to just move on, but here we are. All right, so our minds and bodies, we get used to certain patterns, and this is just the way we operate, right? We learn to anticipate what's coming next. We learn to predict. That's part of how we function. We sometimes create a routine, right? It becomes part of our everyday. And on a smaller scale, for some of you, this might be a bigger scale, but when you lose a pet, for example, that's been by your side for many, many years, you might go through some of those same patterns once that pet passes away. So you might still wake up at 6 a.m. to go take your dog for a walk to realize, well, your dog had passed away. You no longer have to do that. That part of your routine is now changed because of a loss.
Yeah.
You might be pouring food in his food bowl for a while. I remember when my family dog passed away, I would walk through the doors expecting to see my dog in a certain spot of the house and thinking, oh man, he's not there.
Yeah.
So part of what grief is kind of reconstructing those patterns. And you might have that sense of feeling lost. Man, now things aren't going how they used to go. My whole routine has changed, and this impacts you a lot.
And Margaret was big about pets. Get a pet. She'd always tell people, do you have a pet? If you don't have a pet, get a stuffed animal. Get something fluffy and furry. It'll make you feel better.
Right. And it's so wild when you have a loss. You know, think about with a relationship ending, that's like tenfold for a lot of you. For some of you are way more attached to your pets than you have ever been with a person. But I'll say, you know, for a lot of relationships, it can be really, really intense. And it can feel like a lot of uncharted territory, even if you're in the same environments, right? Your house is the same, right? Your work is the same. However, those things are much, much different when you're not there with your person.
Yeah. It feels very different.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about that feeling of being lost, it reminds me of this really popular Script song. There's a band called The Script, and they have amazing music, amazing breakup music. But I figured I would share with you some of the lines from one of the songs.
Okay. This feels like an activity in the creative healing course.
Yeah, right.
I think we have a couple of things in there, right?
A guided lyrical meditation, if you will. And so I believe the song is called If You Ever Come Back. And if you feel like crying, go ahead, look it up. Bring some tissues. It's very emotional. But in the song, he says, I'm still setting 2 plates on the counter, but eating without you. He says, I'm sleeping on your side of the bed, going out of my head. He says, I'll leave the door on the latch if you ever come back. There'll be a light in the hall and a key under the mat. He says, there'll be a smile on my face and the kettle on, and it'll be just like you were never gone. And so you can feel how profound those lyrics are, meaning that there's a certain pattern that you get so involved with and is so integrated in your life when you're with a partner.
Yeah. Yeah, music can feel very therapeutic to listen to during a breakup. And I'm pretty sure we do have some music activities in the creative healing course. And I think the greatest breakup song of all time, as people ask me this, is Black by Pearl Jam.
Oh, you've talked about this.
Yeah, if you hear Eddie Vedder singing at the end of that song, it's like, that's brutal. You know, that is the kind of pain that it feels like people are going through.
It's really, really powerful. And it's hard to describe really with words sometimes, that feeling of being lost when you know geographically exactly where you are, but it's just more of a emotional state of feeling lost. We also think about the future we have planned with our partner. You know, we talk about this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Grief, it's not just about grief of the relationship, but also grief of a future that you had planned with that partner.
Sure.
And so we feel a lot of security in knowing that we have a plan with someone, right?
I mean, how many people that you talk to were going to get married, they were going to have kids.
Right.
Especially, you know, I've seen a lot of women that are getting towards their mid to late 30s, and they really start to stress it now. Because now they're feeling like this biological urge that somebody that they were going to marry and have kids with, and now all of a sudden it's completely over, and they're like, what am I going to do? It's a different thing that men don't really feel or experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And some people financially plan with their partner, right? So there can be some real practical things that you're depending on your partner for. So when these things kind of fall through, it can leave a really lasting impact on you. And when we break up, we have to rewrite all of these plans just on an individualized level, right? Then we have to start thinking, well, what is my plan? It becomes less about our plan, and it's just about what your life looks like on your own moving forward, which can be really, really terrifying.
Yeah, you don't want to give up that plan. You want to keep that plan and just keep planning for them to come back.
Right.
So it's tough, but you have to at least find a way to balance it within yourself, that you're open to that plan, but you're also opening up to new plans and a new future for yourself, which is overwhelming.
Right. So now that we're talking about this feeling of being lost, if you are experiencing depressive symptoms, please seek professional help. It can be something that can ground you a little bit, can help you feel a little bit more supported in this. Contact somebody local in your area that can help. If you get to the point where you're contemplating your life and things like that, please reach out to a suicide hotline if that can be helpful.
Absolutely.
Look up the local ones in your area, and please get that help for yourself.
Absolutely.
I'll also add learning to self-soothe is really important. You know, that feeling of being lost can be super overwhelming. It can feel panicky. It can feel like you don't really know what to do next. And having just a couple tools in your toolbox to learn how to soothe yourself and calm down and ground can be super, super helpful.
I actually think it's one of the most important things you should be able to learn to do in a breakup. And that's a big component of what we're trying to help you work through in like the workbooks and the creative healing course is, you know, taking all this information and incorporating it into a deep level where, you know, the wisdom and the knowledge that you're learning gets you to not be so panicked when somebody pulls away, and just understanding that it's part of the process of a relationship, and that there are going to be ebbs and flows, and that the people that do that the best are the ones that are most likely to have a healthy relationship.
Exactly. Some other things that can be helpful in kind of rewriting your future here is thinking about some of the things that you liked before. I know it's very cliche, but you know, some of you might have had passions that you were super into before, a lot of things that brought a lot of purpose that you now have the opportunity to reconnect with. And that can be something that grounds you in a way too. Maybe some of you really were into art, or really were into ballet, or you know, some hobby or interest or passion that you had, and reconnecting with those things can make you feel a little bit more like you again.
Absolutely. You got to do whatever you can. And you got to remind yourself it's going to get better. Feelings do change. It will get better with time. Okay? And the more that you process, the more that you find ways to work through it in therapy, reading books, listening to our videos, you know, if you're doing the creative healing course or the workbooks, all of those things are going to help you work through it and have a clearer picture. So when you come out of this, you're either going to be more prepared for your next relationship with them or somebody else, but your mental health should be improved. Your ability to understand relationships will be completely different. You won't be navigating blindly like many of us were prior to this relationship. So many people come to the channel and they learn so much after this breakup that they completely transform their life and their relationships.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of really big changes that can come from a breakup. So these are things that are important, and your path might look very different from how you thought it was going to look when you're in a relationship. And making that path yours, making it special, making it meaningful is what's important. I know life after a breakup can be very, very different. It can feel very hopeless, but we promise you that there is a light ahead. There is a lot still worth living for there. And, you know, we've seen so many different forms of success. That's something that we do hope for each and every one of you.
Absolutely. You got to just focus on creating new positive things for yourself. Lying in bed all day, checking out their Instagram to see if they've logged in or not is not going to help you. You know, find things that you enjoy. Go for a walk, you know, listen to some music, do some art, go out with some friends, do whatever you can to feel a little bit better, and slowly you will get there. Self-care is very important.
It's huge.
All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Coach Nat is still training, buzzing around the place, so not doing any coaching yet. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.